What's good? It is Sam here, and today I wanted to go over the ranking for the Democratic candidates based on their donations and certain characteristics of the donors who donate to them. So we took 4 factors into consideration and we stacked ranked the candidates 1 through 10. So I wanted to talk about all 4 of those different factors along with the stack ranking, and then the overall to see who is actually winning when it comes to donations. Now, with that being said, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam, and for those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. All right, let's get into it. So, what do we have here? We have Open Secrets, which is a website, opensecrets.org, that aggregates the filings for the Democratic candidates to give us their numbers, right? So there's a bunch of different things that have to be reported. By the way, something super interesting. You can see the file, and this goes over all their assets and what they own and where they make some of their money. I just did a video on Tom Steyer, the billionaire. So if you want to check that video out, it's the video that's either right before this one or right after this one. And the 4 different factors that we take a look at are the percentage of donors that are coming from small individual contributors. Right? Then that's defined as people who give less than $200, and we stack rank those 1 through 10 with the highest percentage coming from small donors being ranked number 1. Because I think that's more representative of what the American public is looking for, if a higher percentage of people who are donating small amounts of money to this person. Okay. Next thing that we took a look at was the saving. Well, there's 2 other ones. So we have the savings rate. So to calculate the savings rate, we took the total amount spent divided by the total amount raised minus 1. That gives us the amount that we saved for that quarter. And you can let me know what your thoughts are on the rationale behind this, but the idea or the thinking logic behind this is that a low savings rate is good for the campaign, but a low savings rate is bad for the campaign at the same time. So we changed the weighting in the overall on this. A low savings rate in my world would be that somebody is really trying hard to get more attention, right? And they're using their money. I'm not saying that they're using it intelligently. I'm just saying that they're using money. So we did the same thing where we stacked ranked the candidates 1 through 10, with the lowest savings rate being number 1 and the highest savings rate being number 12. And these candidates who are saving a lot of money, I think, have opportunity to grow at a faster rate if they, I mean, there's a couple candidates who are saving around 45–50% like of all the dollars that they raised. Unless they think they have it in the bag, I feel like it seems like a high savings rate. But then again, you can run really low into the single digits like some candidates, and that might be potentially risky, right? So you have to have a fine balance, but that's how we define it. That represents 10% of the total weighting, where the percentage from the small donors represents 25%. So it's 2.5 times more important in this ranking to see how much comes from small donors. The next thing that we take a look at is the total number of donors. And for that, we just add up the total for male and the total for female. So with the most amount of donors being number 1 and the least amount of donors being number 12. And this represents 50% of the total average. So this is, I think, what captures the most amount of valuable information, the total number of donors. The last factor also has to do with donors, and that's the increase or decrease from the last quarter to the one that just ended in September. And we took a look at the total number of donors at the end of the second quarter relative to the total number of donors at the end of the third quarter and took the difference to see who had the most absolute gain in donors, and that represents 15% of the total. So we took all of that data and we put it together into a spreadsheet. And this is what we came up with. For the number one ranking out of all of those things that I just talked about, I'm going to go over the top 5 and then we're going to jump into each individual category. So we have Elizabeth Warren is number 1, Bernie Sanders is number 2, Pete Buttigieg is number 3, Kamala Harris is number 4, and rounding out the top 5 is Andrew Yang. So now let's actually take a look at this. So right here we see the percentage from small donors, and in this category, Andrew Yang is number 1, followed up by Julian Castro with 65%. So they both are around 65% from small donors. So what that's saying is that out of all the money raised, 65% plus of every dollar comes from small donors, people who are donating $200 or less. And if you follow finance, you know that the vast majority of Americans, like 70-something% of Americans, don't have enough money if some financial burden comes up that's greater than $400. So to garner a lot of support from people who are donating small amounts of money, that's a little bit more telling for me. And that's why this represents 25% of the total. The next category is, well, let's touch on this, Tom Steyer, right? Tom Steyer here, I just want to talk on this for a bit. And this is the video that I just made about Tom Steyer and some of his assets, which was kind of interesting. If you want to check that out, go back to the channel. On the way back there, just press that subscribe button to see future videos as well. But we see that he's only raised 3% from small donors, not from small donors. So you might think that he's just not popular with small donors. However, once you dive in a little bit deeper to the numbers, you understand that he's actually self-funding, and he spent around $47 million of his own money or his company's money. So that is pretty substantial that he's putting in all that to just garner the awareness. From my experience with people who are high net worth individuals, even they have to really believe in something to want to spend millions of dollars on something like that. So this is, I think, says a lot about his character, but also he might have just seen Trump do something like this. So this is where he could be pulling from. This will be interesting to see when the fourth quarter numbers come out, how this relates. Another thing to highlight here is Tulsi Gabbard. So she was not even in the first ranking that we did about a month and a half ago. And neither was Tom, because they were not in that debate. So I did include them in this one, but some of the data here is going to be a little bit skewed. So I think that they would actually be a little bit higher if we had the donor numbers, but we don't. So we're just going to have to play by ear, and we'll see a big movement in those two characters in the fourth quarter reporting numbers when they come out in January. Okay, so total number of donors. It was just insignificant for Tom because he has just really started to ramp up more recently. But we can see that as we scan through here, there's a couple people who stand out. First, Bernie Sanders stands out. He's got a substantial number of donors with almost 700,000, almost double Elizabeth and Pete, who are number 2 and number 3 in terms of total donors. Which I thought was kind of interesting. Another interesting thing that I noted about Pete Buttigieg, so he is openly gay, Democratic candidate running for president, and one of the things the data shows around people who are gay is that they tend to have more discretionary income than individuals who are married. For whatever reason that might be, you can draw whatever conclusions you want, whether they just make more money or they don't spend money on dumbass fucking shit like most people do. For whatever reason, I think that is definitely helping Pete, which is awesome. 400,000 almost donors, which is a tremendous number. Like, these 3 candidates have a shitload more donors than everybody else in the field. The next is the savings rate, and this here is, again, the total amount raised divided into the total amount spent minus 1, because that gives us the amount that's retained, or the savings rate here. And we actually have ranked Tom as number 1 here. He's only saving 5% So I think this is probably means that he's probably putting in a lot of effort. I've heard that he's running a lot of television. I think that there needs to be more shift to digital, 100% to gain any awareness with like how the actual world works today. I think a lot of people over a certain age or just a certain mindset don't think that the social media is really relevant. They actually think like television and stuff is important. So I think that he's spending a lot of money. I'm not sure if he's getting bang for his buck. I think there might be higher ROI activities that he could be doing. Julian could have be doing the same thing here, or Julian just doesn't have any money coming in, which would also cause them to probably have a high savings rate. And then we see that Pete Yang and Bernie Sanders are all saving around 45% of what they're bringing in. I mean, the only one of those three that I can see kind of maybe slightly, because in their mind they think they have it wrapped up, would be Bernie, right? Like if he thinks he's doing so well that he can save that much, that's their strategy. That's how they want to handle it. But I don't think Pete or Andrew Yang would. I don't think they have that thought process to be saving 46% nearly of every dollar that comes in. I think that they just need to continue to build awareness. They don't need to go down into the single digits, I would say, but I think that there's some more low-hanging fruit that can be garnered to still quell more interest and more awareness for these candidates. The next is the category which we don't have any data for Gabbard or Tom in terms of total number of donors gained from Q2 to Q3. And we see that number one is Elizabeth Warren. She's jumped up almost 7,000 new donors, followed by Joe Biden, which I thought was super interesting. Joe Biden is number two in terms of the total number of donors, but this also wasn't, if you look back and you've been following it, you know that Joe Biden didn't really start raising money until a month into Q2. So this is kind of what I would expect, but he does still have nearly 250,000 people who have donated to his campaign. Not a tremendous amount of small donors, but we'll see how this plays out in the future. Pete, number three again. So Pete is doing well in this. Where is it? Kamala Harris is number four. Number five is Andrew Yang. And then the last, as we talked about, we have the percentage breakdown for the average for this ranking. And we have 25% going to small donors. That means of this total score here, 25% of it comes from the percent, the percent of small donors. 50% comes from the total number of donors. So if they have a shitload of donors, then for Bernie Sanders, he ranks well in this category. The next is 10%, and this is relative to the savings rate. The low savings rate being good, the high savings rate being bad. You can think whatever you want in terms of high savings rate being good or a low savings rate being bad. I'm sure that there might be a difference of opinion on it. This is my thought process. If they have a low savings rate, they're probably trying harder. The fourth category represents 15% of the total. So when it comes to donors, that portion of the total is represented by 65%, 50% from the total donors and 15% from the gain in donors from Q2 to Q3. So the overall ranking, again, just rounding out the top five, we have Elizabeth Warren at number one, Bernie Sanders at number two, Pete Buttigieg at number three, Kamala Harris at number four, Andrew Yang at number five. Now, if you have any thoughts on this, let me know down below in the comments, and I will get to your questions. If you leave them down below, use the hashtag STOLT, and then I can more easily find it here in my comment section and then respond to it at the end of the next video. So we have a comment here from Nick Rayoij. On a side note, or on another note, by the way, thank you so much for the comment in relative to a Twitter research where Yang is number one. Isn't Twitter going to ban all political ads? I wonder how this might affect Yang's campaign since he leverages greatly on that platform. And then he leaves a source. I didn't click on the source, but it is completely possible that Twitter does ban political ads. I think that it goes way deeper than the ads on Twitter, because it's almost like the water cooler of society, where you can kind of just engage in conversations, where if you do that on other platforms, it's viewed differently, where on Twitter you can just jump into conversations with anybody. I think that that is actually the foundation, not necessarily the political ads, but I'd love to know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. The next here we have James Rivera. And I just wanted to highlight this because it's actually how I created this is how I did the intro. So thank you so much for this comment. Why don't you say good freaking morning, good to freaking see you? Well, I did in this video, so that's because of your comment. Thank you so much. Let's jump down here to cauliflower, and this will be the last one. So if you guys want your comment, leave it down below. Jump over to Instagram and TikTok and say what's up. TikTok is fucking exploding with the amount of attention on TikTok. So jump over to TikTok. Link is in the description. Tusley will be the underdog story of 2012. Just watch. She has a lot of mileage and staying power. So this is actually interesting because I've been getting a lot of comments around Miss Gabbard. And I think a lot of people write it off as in like, oh, she just got attention because of Hillary and whatever dispute they're having together. However, that's how it works, right? You have something that spikes people's awareness, and then maybe it comes down, but the set point is a new set point most of the time. So it'll be interesting to see if this is the catalyst that gives Gabbard the attention and platform and awareness that she needs to continue to build momentum as she moves forward. I'm super curious to know what you think. I think a lot of people, with some of the comments I'm seeing, is that people say that this is because of Clinton and use that as an excuse to almost write off the awareness that Gabbard is getting. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that she's gained the attention because of that. But what you do with the intention is the important part. If you can use that to leverage, to better tell your story, and you're able to continue that momentum, it doesn't really matter where the intention comes from most of the time. If you can PR that and leverage that to gain more attention and use that as a platform to get your message out about whatever you're trying to achieve, as in she's trying to run for president. So that's kind of interesting. Jump over to Instagram and on TikTok and say what's up. Don't forget to subscribe and press that bell notification. It really does help out the channel. And if you enjoyed this video, share this with somebody else who you think can get value out of it. It helps out the channel tremendously, and we can get the message out that there's a better way of looking at the candidates for who is the nomination, who is the most relevant character in the American society. That's why we have the YouTube rankings based on the YouTube search volume, the Google based on this Google search volume, their websites, their social media, and we factor all this into our total power rankings. So if you want to help get that message out, share this video with somebody, press that like button. It really does help out the channel. I appreciate you guys. I gotta get ready for work. Peace.